occasion, we have another Nix Hour today. And yeah, so, well, usually we prefer questions in the meeting here, and that we have today. Otherwise, we would go through questions on the Nix Hour repository or talk about other things. So Chinchilla here in the meeting has a question. Feel free.
Hey, maybe question isn't so accurate as I'm trying to troubleshoot something. I sent a link in the chat. I've got this little function working in the REPL, and I'm actually trying to put this in a little module where I'm going to generate an niginx config based off of this, and I'm struggling to convert what works in the REPL to something that works in my module.
Yeah, sounds good. So let's see, you have a REPL thing up here. Let's just copy this into my REPL here. And so we need lib available. I'm actually do it like this. We have lib available and it generates something. So you have the input is an attribute set, kind of like this. Okay, and the output is, I guess that's for virtual hosts and locations. Is that the?
That's exactly it. I want to serve that path as a just static in Nginx.
Yeah. All right. Let's copy this in here then, and let me write a module for this. So
I've got the module already. If you'd like, I can send the whole thing, I guess.
I think it's fine. I can write it fairly quickly here. Actually, I'm just going to do it like this. Yeah, and so you tried. Well, so you tried this, and this doesn't work. I imagine.
Yeah, I got to rerun it. Yeah, it was expecting. I was getting some sort of type error.
Okay, so I'm just going to set up a very simple kind of thing to reproduce this. So, well, if we just run it like this, we might do this: import Nix packages NixOS, and then say that this is our configuration like this. Now indent this one. And this way we should be able to do a Nix, and we're going to do a Nix instantiate. The default file is the default, so I don't need an argument for the file. And then I'm going to evaluate the system attribute, I think. Right, okay, that seems to work. Now we just need to fix the errors. So we have lib, which we need to have in scope. I'm going to convert the attribute set to a function. And we need packages. We need config, all of the module arguments. Right, and then we have CFG. I guess CFG is...
That was the output of the module, config. Yeah, whatever, helpers in my case.
Let me... I don't fully get it here right now, so map actors name. Oh, this is the filter output. Value search.enable equals true. So this is the same thing as here. Oh, right. So the config is this attribute set here.
Correct.
So I'm just gonna define it up here. Let me do it in this function here. So I'm just gonna do CFG like this. And another closing one here. And I think this is good to go. All right, good to test out at least. All right, and so now we get value as a function while a set was expected. Is this the error you've been getting?
Yes.
All right, so let's look at the code here. I'm gonna probably restructure this or refactor it a little bit. So we have map attrs. First argument is this, goes up until here. Then the second argument is this function. Gonna do it like this. All right, and then we have, yeah. So if we structure it like this, we can see that there's actually, all of these are passed as arguments to map attrs. So we have the first argument, the second argument, the third, fourth, and fifth. Right, this is probably not what you wanted, so I'm probably, we name with path we have. So this is the final thing. Right, and map attrs. So map attrs takes a function that expects to return a name value pair. And the best way to do this is using lib.name value pair. Oh, and I see you used it down here. So name value pair options.name and domain name. So actually this should be in here so that the kind of final thing returned is the name value pair. So in the name, you want options.name, and that comes from, this is a bit hard to, to understand. So you want these to end up in locations right here. Okay. Well, I think I see it's kind of the wrong way around. Well, let me just try to rewrite this. So how I would go about writing this is, well, let me just write a single example here, I think. So this is name. So wait, let me just confirm. So we have the path goes here. That's the location. The root is, what is the root here? Chinchilla, what is the root here?
I'm speaking to a muted microphone. Its path goes here.
So the path comes from where exactly? Oh, that's this path. Oh, this is just
yeah, that's the file system path.
I see. And so the name that goes into, so if you were to write here, that's the virtual host, I'm going to assume. So kind of like, doesn't
Correct.
work like this,
yep.
but kind of like this. Okay, so it would look like this in the end.
Exactly.
I see. Path is here. We have serve.enable. Right, we want that to be, right, we only want the ones that are enabled and the others we don't. Okay. So I'm gonna just take this here. So in the end, we want virtual hosts to be something, do some transformation on the CFG. Right, and so the first transformation here is to filter out the ones that are enabled. And so I'm just going to copy the code you have here. So we're going to do lib.attribsets. We can also avoid the attribsets here. Most of the lib functions are re-exported under the kind of global namespace. So we can also do this. And we're going to take config. We're going to take the path, the value, and filter by the ones that are true. We can also omit the equals true here, since this is a true or false value already. Although you could also have, like, imagine this is a false or a not right now. Then this equals true check would actually make sense as well. But I'm just going to assume it's a Boolean for now, and so we can remove this equals true. All right, and so we filter attrs first. Now we have the same kind of set, but we want to apply this. Now to transform this into the path that goes here, it's much more convenient to have a list of items first. And a good way to convert an attribute set to a list is using map address to list. And so this takes the name and the value in a function, and we can just return the list element that we want in the result. Let me structure it like this. So we have the first argument here. And so what do we want? Well, let's say we want the name of the virtual host as a field. So kind of, actually we could do it like this. We could say name, actually what should the name be? So this is actually the path here and the value is like this. So the name should be the path. Oh no, the other way around. So value.name, that's the name, equals this configuration down here. So like this. I'm going to remove all that messiness afterwards. So we have value.name, config security. Okay, that looks good. Now in here we want the path, and that looks correct already. Let me remove the level indentation. Okay, and so now we return an attribute set with just a single definition for the virtual hosts, but we need multiple of them. To do this, there's a convenient method called lib.makeMerge. So lib.makeMerge takes a list of definitions and treats them as if you defined this option multiple times using all of these definitions. And so in this case, this works out nicely because we define the virtual hosts option, and each of the definitions is an item like this, which individually works, but we can also define it multiple times. And I believe we need another bracket here. Otherwise we get some wrong, otherwise we pass these as separate arguments. But other than that, I think that's actually it. So let me remove this. Let's see if I miss anything here. Is the formatting okay? Let me do it like this. Okay. Now let's try this out. Okay, we still, oh yeah, we get the assertion errors. We don't need to worry about those. But how could we see if that actually worked? Let's do a Nix REPL. So we have this default.nix file here. Let's do Nix REPL, load this in here. And now we can see config.services.nginx.virtualhosts. Now we can get, well, the autocompletion is a bit unfortunate because this doesn't actually work. It's supposed to be quoted like this. It's probably a bug that should be fixed at some point. And now I think autocompletion is actually broken here. Yeah. Right, okay, now we get some errors, but I think these are expected actually. Well, oh, it evaluates the entire thing here. We don't really need to do that. We just want to, do we want XR35? We just want to check the locations, right? So locations and the root node, and the root is the expected path. And let's just verify it works with multiple entries. So let me do it like this. Let me just copy this. Path goes there, and the domain is test2. Now to reload this in the Nix REPL, I'm just going to do Control:R. And now this one still exists, and test2 has the other path. All right, I'll push this into the Nix Hour repository right now, actually. Let me default Nix to nginx transformation. All right, nginx transformation. Nice. Does this, well, I think this answers the question.
100%. Thank you, and thanks for showing how to pull that into the REPL. That's one of the things I was struggling with.
Yeah, glad to help. All right, let's get to, well, since Mario's question in the chat, let's get to Sophie's question a bit later, since X10A and 14 was first. So I'm gonna copy the link that was posted into here. And so the question is, there was a refactoring attempt, how to refactor / move members of an option module into a submodule without infinite recursion errors. Right, and this is the attempt here. Let's see. Refactor split separate home manager specific config options to parent option module. Does not work. See comments. Where are the comments here? Or are the comments in here? This is a big of an example, but let me try to just look at the resulting file and see if I can spot anything that could be
If you
improved.
scroll down and click on X10 default right above your mouse, that's the resulting file.
This
One,
one.
yes.
All right.
Line 68, I think, have the comments relevant. There you go.
Oh, I see. So you tried this refactoring. Oh, this works, and this one here doesn't. Okay.
Correct. Those comments you can ignore at the bottom.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to copy this into here. I'm going to do modules hm.nix. Okay, I'm not gonna, well, it would be good to reproduce it, but I'm gonna see if I can just figure it out like this. So we have config.homemanager.config libs.make if the some path exists, and then this uses inputs the home manager configuration of this. And so this doesn't work. You used, the difference here is HM entry point path.
If you scroll a little bit up, if you look for the entry point module member, there you go, you passed it, lines 44. You see a HM entry point path. The one that works is the default value of the one that causes the infinite recursion error.
I see. And so this is a NixOS module, right?
That I leave to your judgment. I cannot speak to that.
So far, config.flake. This seems to be very custom kind of setup.
It uses flake parts, or is based on using flake parts.
I see. I had the suspicion. But yeah, I can't. This is a bit hard to. Could you, or is it possible for me to reproduce this, like right now, just by cloning this and running some
It
command?
should absolutely be reproducible. The only thing that could take time, you might want to do someone else's question meanwhile, is you will download Helix and compile it locally.
I see. Let me try, perhaps. See, let me
check out the specific branch.
Can I just do a Nix eval?
Yes.
And I guess that's which attribute would you evaluate here?
x10.nixconfigs, and then one of the. You're on the wrong branch, but x10.nix. I can give you the path.
Okay, that would be great. Andrea. But yeah, I'll. Oh yeah, there's also a question in the Nix Hour Matrix channel actually. Yeah, I'll wait for your. Oh yeah, you posted it there. So.
Oops, one error. There's an 8 digit after the G, capital G8.
Like this.
There you go. Yeah.
So something like nix eval this, or although eval, maybe let's eval the out path. Oh, and I guess like this.
That might work a little while, but yes.
All right. Let me. Oh, okay. That's blah, blah, blah. Does not provide the attribute out path. Do I need to remove the out path? Does not provide the attribute this. Is it? Let me try auto-completing this. Oh, is it packages dot this dot? That seems to be. Oh, I'm on the wrong branch. You said, right?
Yes, the correct branch is named split-mn hm-config.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes, there you
we
go.
get the infinite recursion. All right. And is there any clue in here? There is not a lot of clues in here. So there is this built-in add error context, which is supposed to allow you to add more error context to these stack traces, but it seems that it didn't really kick in this time, and the trace is really short, actually. Is this trace? No, that doesn't do anything. Oh, cache failure. Yeah, that's not great. Let me
just add a space, empty line.
Hey. Yep. Oh, right. So apparently new Nix versions cut the trace short by default, which I'm not a big fan of. So in this case, we had to explicitly evaluate it twice. We should have more information here. It is really hard to read these traces, but let's try to give it a go. So actually, and they flipped direction in the recent Nix version. I believe this down here should be the, actually no, up here is the entry point, I believe now. It doesn't really look related anyways. But so yeah, we have these extra traces in here, which unfortunately are just one line long, one line thick, even though they are the most useful ones. But yeah, so we wanted to evaluate this option, then let's see if we have any others of these. Here's one. So while evaluating definitions from this specific file, so that's the x10 default.nix file in our directory. Any others? No others. Okay. Can we figure anything out from what's happening here? So this is all Nix, like internal code in the module system. We could try to look for files that are not in the inside the module system. In particular, so here we have modules. These are all in the module system. So that doesn't really help very much. Can I find out anything else from what's happening here? Discharge properties. thread name, type merge. I'm struggling a bit to figure out even which direction it's evaluating in. This G here is, what even is this G? So we could look at the source here to figure out, well, we need the exact location as well. 599. So this is in map address recursive content. I'd actually imagine this is part of flake parts. Flake parts calls into this, and this is how we end up here. That will make a lot of sense. So the infinite recursion occurs down here. Yep, I'm fairly clueless right now. So let's look at the code again. So this works and this doesn't. So let me just try this then. I can copy this in here so I can evaluate it right inside Vim. Oh, is it? Oh yeah, okay. Had to escape the hash inside Vim. Okay, but this definitely works. Okay, it does take a long time to do anything.
It will return a different error message, but yes.
Oh, and that error message is fine?
That error message relates to it not finding home directory and state version on line 77, for example. It seems as if all the members of the innermost module in the type, in the options type, are not available inside of the scope of that config block.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, let me try to give this a closer look. So we have this specific bit apparently, which causes infinite recursion. The Nix config, where does that come from? That's from
above the line above 15.
Oh, sorry.
There are so many config variables shadowing each other, so I tried for clarity to give it a different name.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, and that's for a machine config, and machine config is used for this here. Okay, so you define a custom option here for all the machines that use Nix config. Okay. And so then it's home manager.entry point. And the entry point option is defined here. The default value is hm entry point path, which is defined up here. So that's self. Self should be fine. That's from Flake, I assume. Then we have make entry point file that takes username and host name. These are also defined in nixconfig. So I'm just kind of backtracking where the infinite recursion could come from. So username and host name, these are defined here. They're defined in terms of name, at least the default. That shouldn't cause infinite recursion. And then we also have a definition in here. So actually underneath how it works is that this make if gets kind of pushed down into the result here. Well, the result is a home manager configuration. So actually this looks a bit weird to me, but is this the recommended way to call a home manager or to create a home manager configuration?
If you're asking if that's the canonical way to create a home manager configuration with flakes, then yes, that is the documented canonical way.
Flake parts, I assume.
That part itself has nothing to do with flake parts. That's just home manager with the flakes.
I see.
It requires you specify packages, some extra special arcs if you want them, and the modules need at least those variables to be valid. So this is like a minimally valid option with an added entry point plus extra special arcs.
Yeah. I feel so the make if usually isn't intended to be used like this. Usually it's an attribute set directly right here. And so then make if can, so let's assume we have like next equals 10 here. And so underneath the make if will then go directly into here. Look up make if. And this up top here will get discarded. And that's kind of how, oh yeah, here's the condition. And that's kind of how, or what the purpose of the make if is, that it kind of allows things to be more lazy than kind of needed. Or usually it would give infinite recursion, but make if should make this more lazy. But since here it's used as like on a function, I'm kind of worried that the make if tries to go into here, and maybe let's see what the function here returns.
Feel free to remove the parentheses of that block you're having your cursor here and there. I added them just because of the error message I got from the Nix binary when trying this. I thought I had to put those parentheses you're hovering over.
These look correct. If these weren't there, we would pass this here and this here as two separate arguments to make if.
All right.
Which, yeah. So these are necessary, but we could try something like this. I like to have, like, let's say this is a result variable, like locally in here. Let me format this a bit better, like this. Add this back. So a result variable in here. So just so we can kind of do a trace in here. Or actually, maybe we could even try using the debugger. There is a debugger in Nix. This would be the first time I'm actually realistically using it. But it should be break and then return something. Is it like that? Let's check the docs actually. Built-in stop break. There is no documentation on built-in stop break, the built-in itself. And I do read more about the debugger here. Oh yeah, I checked this before. This actually links to an external documentation, and that also doesn't document built-in stop break. So that's not ideal.
I think it just isn't called built-ins that break in the docs. You need to open the built-ins list of the built-ins.
Let's check. Oh, it is called built-in stop break. But we can kind of figure it out like this, I guess. Pass is 0. Okay, it returns 0. So it just takes a single argument. And yeah. So okay, let me keep this window open here. And let's go into here to a Nix eval of this. Oh, that's a syntax error. That must have occurred somewhere in here. Result in built-in stop break. Oh, semicolon missing here. Okay, now let's try to enter the debugger like this. Oh, cache failure. This is pretty terrible actually. All right, infinite recursion encountered, and we are at the infinite recursion error already, so we didn't even get to the break. But actually, do we have anything in here? So we are in this file right now. Can we print things like the
:env gives you all the scopes and the different stacks of the scopes.
Oh, nice. So in the I guess this is the info level 0 must be the lowest one.
That is the inner one, yes.
Yeah, let's actually go into the modules here just to see a bit more context. That's on 753. 753. Right, so here on the innermost variable we have as v. Oh, that I can't actually see any v.